hey,
nice ass.
Would you get pissed off if somebody says this to you on the street? It makes me furious when I hear it, but some people choose to ignore it, and of course it makes many more people anxious. It's called catcalling, and more people today are speaking up to say that they're not okay with it. Some countries are countering the problem by introducing laws which make catcalling a criminal offense. Most recently, the Netherlands, which has now issued the first fine for catcalling. In addition, there is now a special tactic for bringing these cases to court. So I ask myself, are the courts going to have to deal with an avalanche of charges? And will catcalling be stopped? Let's take a look. What's happened? The Netherlands has been recently making headlines, but catcalling cases are by no means exclusive to this country.
Hier, ça m'est arrivé, on m'a dit hey, t'es jolie, on m'a attrapé le bras. Dans les transports en commun aussi, quelqu'un qui s'assied à côté de toi et qui veut pas partir, qui force pour avoir ton numéro.
It makes me feel very unsafe.
Gwizdy, pytania, niestosowne propozycje, które nie mają żadnych podstaw tak naprawdę, no i jest to bolesne.
De obicei sunt cu prietenele mele și suntem la la rând.
Especially women often feel harassed and uncomfortable walking on their own.
Lots of people have experienced verbal street harassment, with 2 in every 3 women in the Netherlands having been victim to it. While it can theoretically target anyone, statistics show that those who catcall are usually men, and those affected are mostly women. The Netherlands is tackling the problem directly now. A law introduced in July this year explicitly criminalizes statements or gestures deemed to be frightening, humiliating, insulting, or degrading. And according to how serious the case is, the punishment can be up to 3 months in prison or a fine of up to 10,000 euros. The first cases have now been brought before the court. A man was fined 100 euros after verbally abusing a woman and grabbing her by the hips. We asked criminologist Tamara Fischer if this could become more frequent.
The number of people that will really be charged because of this law, I think they will stay low, because it's a type of an offense that is very hard to see and to follow up on.
Of course, if the police are not there to witness catcalling, the cases are trickier to prove. But the Netherlands are trying out something else, using undercover teams. They have been deployed in 3 cities with the goal of identifying street harassment. Utrecht, for example, has 8 officers who primarily go to busy spots, such as public transport or where there is nightlife. However, there is still no information on how many people have been caught by these teams. And Tamara Fischer also doubts whether criminalization is always the best way to deal with the issue.
If you criminalize everything, you can also make it even worse.
Okay, so can a law like this also be harmful? We will come shortly to what she means by this, but first we wanted to know what people in the Netherlands actually think of this new law.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I don't think men notice that they do it, but it's just really wrong.
If you like somebody, it's fine to try to approach on some level, but at the same time, like just coming up to somebody and being very annoying or harassing, it's a big no-no. It's a thin and blurred line, but you need to put a limit somewhere.
I'm glad they actually made it a law and actually are finding people that are doing that.
Touching someone should be punished more than calling someone a name maybe, but I think both are wrong.
So many people appear to think that the problem has to be solved. So why is a catcalling law such a big issue? Tamara Fischer told us that catcalling was simply perceived as normal for a long time, and not everyone agrees where the boundary lies between harmless behavior and a crime. Franz introduced a similar law in 2018. Since then, the number of reported cases has increased, but most incidents are not reported to the police. We wanted to know more about the situation in France, so we spoke with sociologist Misha Decker. After speaking with the French police, he learned that not everyone was fully aware when the law applies. It also depends on how seriously the police considers such cases.
Yeah, there were some remarks coming back in the interviews of police officers not being completely convinced that this was a very serious harm, as they sometimes kind of minimized it as a joke or an innocent flirting.
What now? Do these laws ultimately not achieve all that much? Misha Decker believes that laws that target catcalling are effective even if only a small number of people get convicted.
Still, the state is sending a signal. This is a type of behavior we don't want to accept, that we have all decided together on, that it's undesirable, that it's harmful for victims.
In any case, catcalling is spoken about more and more, especially in the Netherlands. But let's go back to this. Tamara Fischer is also skeptical of criminalizing too much.
we should be careful by criminalizing all this behavior, but we can also solve it in other ways.
What she means by this is that punishments that are too severe can end up being polarizing and fail to change people's behavior. As an example, she would like to see cities designed with safety in mind and for the experiences of women and anyone else affected to be taken seriously. Misha Deka also thinks that we should focus more on prevention in order to change how perpetrators behave and to make people more aware of these situations. So it seems that catcalling is unlikely to disappear immediately in the Netherlands. The introduction of a catcalling law seems to be only part of the solution, and that is only if it actually changes things for those affected. That means if the police take the subject seriously, and if there are ways for the offenses to be proven in the first place. Do you think it's right to criminalize catcalling, and should other countries follow the example?